Part 2. End marks.
You probably know that sentences are an important part of communication, but it's the mark we use to end the sentence that indicates its tone.
So while the words are telling us what is said, it's the final punctuation mark that tells us how it's said.
The three marks we can use to end a sentence are the period, the question mark, and the exclamation point. Let's take a closer look at each one.
Section A, the period.
Ah, the period. Like a cup of hot cocoa in Grandma's feather bed, the period is a punctuation mark we're all comfortable and familiar with. It's easy to make, and it seems to say, go ahead, use me. Most of us already know that the period is just a dot that marks the end of a plain old everyday run-of-the-mill sentence, like some of these.
Look at how Mama Napoli checks to see if the pasta is done. Ah, she throws the spaghetti against a smooth surface. If the noodles stick, they're done.
Notice how these sentences are all regular commands and statements. Commands make a request or tell the listener to do something, like, look at how Mama Napoli checks to see if the pasta's done. Statements simply state that something is true, like, she throws the spaghetti against a smooth surface, and if the noodles stick, they are done. See, statements and commands, nothing fancy here.
So, as you can see, the period is kind of like a stop sign. It tells the reader, hey reader, stop, I've just finished my point. Okay, you can go on now. It lets your brain take a breath before moving on to the next sentence. But periods can do more than just end sentences.
Another great thing a period can do is abbreviate a long word or phrase into a shorter form that's easier to write. Mr. becomes MR period. Department becomes DEPT period. And the United Arab Emirates becomes U period A period E period. Imagine the time you save every year by using abbreviations. At least a couple of minutes. And you could use that time to write a haiku or two. Hey, that rhymes. A haiku or two.
The important thing to remember when you're writing an abbreviation is that you can only do it with words that everyone knows the abbreviations for. The words we just looked at all have standard abbreviations we all recognize. Mr., we've all used that one. But you can't abbreviate anti-disestablishmentarianism into ANT period, or even ANTDIS period, because the word's not used often enough to have a standard abbreviation. Besides, if you have the chutzpah to use anti-disestablishmentarianism in a paper, go ahead and write it out.
Some abbreviations like SCUBA, DNA, and FBI are written without a period. These are usually monograms or acronyms that have been used so often and for so long that the periods are now left off. The same thing's true for words like flu and memo, which are really just abbreviations for influenza and memorandum. They've been around for so long that they've become words of their own.
Now, here's a tricky punctuation thing for you. What if the last word in your sentence is an abbreviation? Well, when that happens, one period can be used to end both the abbreviation and the sentence.